Chapter 1. The Making of a Warrior. Tom grew up in a small town in Indiana. He wasn't born into greatness. He wasn't the biggest, the fastest, or the smartest. What he had was grit, a stubborn refusal to quit when things got hard. As a boy, he watched old war movies with his father and dreamed of adventure, of being part of something larger than himself. When he joined the U.S. Army in 1986, he had no idea where it would take him. Basic training was hellish, but he thrived on the challenge. Every push-up, every sleepless night, every mile run brought him closer to a version of himself he had never imagined. He learned discipline, leadership, and pain tolerance, traits that would soon define him. After a few years in the regular army, Tom wanted more. He wanted to push beyond the limits. When he first heard about Delta Force, it seemed almost mythical, a unit so secret that most soldiers didn't even know where it was based. The selection process was brutal. 40-mile ruck marches through the Appalachian Mountains, land navigation in pitch-black darkness, and constant psychological tests designed to break even the strongest men. But Tom didn't break. He endured. When others quit, he kept walking, and one day, against all odds, he heard the words he'd dreamed of. Welcome to Delta. Chapter 2. Into the Shadows. Life inside Delta Force was unlike anything else in the military. It was fast, relentless, and secretive. Missions were planned and executed in total silence. There were no medals, no public praise, no news coverage, only results. Tom and his teammates operated all over the world. Missions in places he couldn't talk about, countries whose names never made the evening news. They trained constantly, mastering close-quarters combat, hostage rescue, and counter-terrorism tactics. Every operation could be their last. He learned to live in the moment. He learned to compartmentalize fear, pain, and even joy. There was no room for emotion in Delta. You did your job, or you got someone killed. Then came Somalia. Chapter 3. Black Hawk Down. October 1993. Delta Force and Army Rangers were sent to Mogadishu, Somalia, as part of Operation Gothic Serpent. Their mission: capture 2 top lieutenants of warlord Mohammed Farah Aidid. It was supposed to be a quick in-and-out raid, 30 minutes, maybe less. But when 2 Black Hawk helicopters were shot down by RPG fire, everything changed. The city erupted into chaos. Tom and his team fought their way through narrow alleys and rooftops, under relentless gunfire. Bullets cracked past his head. RPGs exploded in the distance. The radio buzzed with voices. Men screaming for help, calling for medevac, reporting casualties. For 18 hours they fought for survival. He watched friends fall. He dragged wounded men through streets soaked in blood. He fired until his weapon ran dry, then picked up another. The fight blurred into a haze of noise and fear and adrenaline. By dawn, 18 Americans were dead. Over 70 were wounded. Tom survived, but a part of him stayed behind in Mogadishu. When he finally returned home, there was no parade. The mission was classified. The public didn't yet know what had happened in Somalia. He unpacked his gear, washed the sand off his boots, and prepared for the next mission. That's what Delta operators did. Move on, but the scars went deeper than he realized. Chapter 4. The Silent War. Years that followed were a blur of deployments. Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, and countless other places. Tom rose through the ranks, earning respect as a quiet, capable leader. He was the man others wanted beside them in a firefight. Yet the cost kept rising. Every mission took a little more from him. Another sleepless night, another friend lost, another memory buried. He began drinking to numb the edges, to silence the thoughts that clawed at him in the dark. His marriage crumbled, his body broke, down. He saw his reflection in the mirror one morning and barely recognized the man staring. Back, when the war on terror began after 9/11, Delta was at the tip of the spear. Tom deployed repeatedly to Iraq, conducting raids almost nightly. The team hunted high-value targets, sometimes under conditions that made Mogadishu look simple by comparison. They kicked in doors, rescued hostages, dismantled terror networks, and came home only to do it again. But the victories felt hollow. After years of combat, Tom began to realize that the enemy wasn't just out there, it was inside him. The anger, the guilt, the survivor's shame. He had won hundreds of battles abroad, but was losing the war within. Chapter 5. Breaking point by the time Tom retired. He had served over 25 years, much of it in Delta Force. He had earned medals for valor and heroism, Bronze Stars, Purple Hearts, but none of them filled the emptiness inside. He tried to adjust to civilian life, but it felt alien. The world moved too slow. People complained about trivial things. Crowds made him anxious. He slept with a gun by the bed. He couldn't talk to anyone about what he'd seen or done. Who would understand? The nightmares came nightly. He'd wake drenched in sweat, heart pounding, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. He avoided his family, his friends, everyone. He drank more. He pushed everyone away. And one night, he decided he couldn't take it anymore. Sitting alone in his living room, Tom loaded his gun. The weight of it felt both terrifying and comforting. For years he'd fought death. Now he was ready to surrender to it. But just as he lifted the weapon, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Jen, a woman he'd met not long before, a film producer who'd been working on a project about special operations. She had seen through his tough exterior, seen the man drowning beneath the armor. Her message was simple: "You matter. Don't do this." Something in him broke and healed at the same time. He put the gun down. Chapter 6. All secure, Jen didn't walk away. She stayed. She listened. Slowly, painfully, Tom began to open up. For the first time, he spoke about Mogadishu, about the men he'd lost, about the demons that haunted him. Together, they learned that healing wasn't about forgetting, it was about facing the pain head-on. They married, and together they founded the All Secure Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping special operations veterans and their families heal from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression and trauma. Through the foundation, Tom began speaking publicly. He told his story at events, schools, and military bases. He wrote his book, All Secure, not to glorify war, but to show what it truly costs, and that even the strongest warriors can fall apart inside. The title came from a simple phrase used by operators after a mission. All secure. It meant the fight was over. The target safe, the team intact. But for many veterans, the war never ends when they come home. Tom wanted to help them find that peace again, to finally truly be all secure. Chapter 7. The real mission today, Tom Satterly is more than a soldier. He's a survivor, a husband, a mentor, and a voice for those still trapped in silence. He speaks openly about the dark side of heroism, the toll it takes on marriages, on minds, on souls. He teaches that vulnerability is not weakness, that asking for help is not surrender. He tells veterans that the bravest thing they can do is live. Combat doesn't define us, he says. How we come back does. His life's new mission is saving others from the fate he nearly met himself. He works with couples torn apart by PTSD, with soldiers who believe they're broken beyond repair. He tells them the truth. He learned the hard way. You are not alone. He's still haunted by memories sometimes. The sound of gunfire in Mogadishu, the faces of brothers lost in Iraq, but he's found purpose in those ghosts. They remind him why he fights now. Chapter 8. Homefront warrior in many ways, the battlefield never truly leaves a soldier. The adrenaline, the brotherhood, the constant edge, they're hard to replace. But Tom learned something powerful. The courage it takes to fight in war is the same courage it takes to heal afterward. He's candid about his flaws, his anger, his trauma, the times he nearly destroyed everything he loved. And because he's honest, others open up too. He's helped hundreds of veterans step back from the brink, guiding them toward therapy, connection, and forgiveness. In his speeches and interviews, Tom often recalls a single moment from Somalia, one he rarely shared before. During the chaos of the battle, he found himself kneeling beside a fallen teammate. As bullets snapped overhead, he held the man's hand and whispered, "You're not alone. We've got you." Years later, he realized that those words, "You're not alone," were what he himself had needed to hear. Epilogue. All secure. At last, Tom Satterly's story isn't just about war. It's about transformation. It's about how even the toughest warriors can shatter, and how they can rebuild stronger than before. He often says that his proudest achievement isn't the medals on his chest or the missions he completed, but the lives he's helped save since leaving the battlefield. He survived Mogadishu. He survived Iraq, but more importantly, he survived himself. And now, standing beside Jen, leading All Secure Foundation, he finally understands what the phrase truly means. All secure. Not a radio call. Not a military phrase, but a promise that healing is possible, that love can outlast the war, that even the most battle-worn hearts can find peace again.